Hello.
Yo.
Right. This is Blossm podcast episode 1. We're here with Ben Cook.
Hello.
Ben, give us a bit of an intro for someone that doesn't know anything about you. Obviously, we went to school together, we know each other well. A bit of background on what you're doing. Just crack on as far away.
Yeah, so my name is Benjamin Cook. So I'm currently, I suppose I class myself as an adventurer or something similar, I suppose. So I was in the military upon leaving school, so I joined the Royal Marine Commandos, served for just under 5 years and left as a captain in December 2018. And then since then I decided to sort of delve into the sort of world of exploration, I suppose, and adventure. And then decided to cycle with a friend across the world's largest landmass, Eurasia. So across 19 countries, and it took us six months to complete. And that was basically in order to raise awareness for men's mental health. So a charity called Movember. So we set up some fundraising target at 30 grand and ended up smashing that.
What did you raise?
37 grand in the end, which is great.
That's a lot.
And it's probably worth to mention that 10% of those funds as well went to a charity called the Ian Williams Foundation, which is a charity which aims at alleviating cardiac issues in young sportsmen.
Oh, wow.
So sort of those two charities, that's the reason why we did it, that, and as well as like own personal experience, I suppose. And then now I'm gunning up for a bigger expedition that, you know, sort of terrifies and excites me, both in equal measure. So that's literally where I...
And it's one of them ones that people probably hear and think, this guy is a nutter. But do you want to say what it actually is?
So basically on the 31st of March, I will start walking the length of Africa from Cairo to Cape Town. So it's an expedition that will take anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 years to complete, and we'll see me walk 12,000 kilometres through as many as 10 African countries.
And this time you're doing that alone, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So I'm doing it solo and unsupported. Unsupported means that you're doing it without any support vehicles, anything to carry all your kit.
So you really
fully
are
self-sufficient.
Walking the full length of Africa?
I aim to be, yeah. I know that there's going to be a few different points where I'm going to be forced to jump into a wagon and go across certain borders, such as the Sudanese and the Ethiopian border. It's quite a turbulent one, so I think I'm going to be forced to maybe get in a car now and then, but that's not off my own back. That's going to be sort of police, armed escorts moving across different borders. So
what I'm trying to not get my head around, but there must have been a day where you were or maybe some certain experience that you went, this is my life, because a lot of people love to tease at the idea of doing something incredible, and I feel like they think they can't detach themselves from what society sort of expects us, but you're completely detached now. So there must have was there one thing that happened and you were like, I can do it? Or
I think it's a culmination of a few different experiences. I've always been quite self-assured and quite self-confident in my own physical ability and mental ability as well. So I think that's something that stayed relatively consistent upon leaving school and then going into the military, and a skill that certainly was honed even more so going through training, Royal Marines officer training. So I think, that plays a massive part, and that was pivotal in me deciding that I wanted to do this other stuff. But as well as that, I think it's just that mixed with huge ambition, and then probably being foolish or stupid enough to sort of dip my toe in and actually give it a crack, and then not having the fear that if all fails, it's all right.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's the fear. It's people are so, I don't know, we had this when we first come into this, and Chloe was so scared of coming out of work and things like that, and obviously from my own background I'd been through that as well, but I feel like there's certain things in certain people that our fear threshold is maybe. I had no problem quitting work and everything just to go. I've been through harder stuff than that. This is nothing. I can pick up a job at any point, or you know, and same sort of concept with you. I guess you're just not scared of maybe putting your body or just your own person under that pressure.
Yeah, I think it's an interest as well. Like I've got a massive interest in like what my limits are.
Yeah.
And I sort of want to, maybe this is like, you know, I don't know, but like maybe it's a bit of a quest to sort of find what
they are.
And, you know, and sort of, I suppose, go back to, but then also to add to the question you just asked, but like, you know, big moments where it sort of puts things into perspective. My mum fell ill when I was 19 years old, and then sadly passed away at 21. As
I remember that, man. That was a crazy one, because I always remember looking at that, and oh God, I remember your mum, man. She was such a great woman, but I always remember thinking, fuck, she wasn't even. She was a fit. I mean, she taught sport. Like,
I know.
So that really shook you up, really.
Oh, massively. Yeah. It takes you to some, you know, that took me to a pretty dark place, because as that was happening, as I was also going through training.
So you'd already decided to go military before that.
So I was 14.
Because I always wondered if you went down that route because of what happened.
No. It was like that decision was made when I was 14, and it's one of those that you sort of tell yourself that that's what you want to do, and then all of a sudden you find yourself actually on the path, and you're going through the process. So that was sort of locked in, and I, you know, in a lot of ways it was good, because it helped me to sort of remain focused in that huge period of uncertainty and, you know, sadness as well. But I think with those both those things happening, coinciding with each other, I suppose, because I was going through training at that time as well, that she was in the height of her illness, and
I remember she was away quite at some points as well. Do you think there was something that, not you did, but do you think there was a specific element that like helped you get through that, or was it just, this is the path that we've got to get down, I've got to get out the other end?
I think it was like focus, like absolute focus in what's happening. So like me looking forward into my endeavours, so like staying focused on training and learning how to be a soldier and you know, a leader in that regard. So that took a lot of my cognitive energy. But I think as well as that, it was also like absolute 100% positivity. Yeah. Which sort of led me to
you must have struggled to do that every day.
I did struggle, yeah.
You know, but I often, when I talk to people that have been through things like that, like Chloe lost her stepfather, who was, you know, kind of the main, probably male figure in your life for your childhood at one point. And when she talks about it with me, I'm like, how the fuck are people, how they dealt, they say, you have to stay positive and stuff like that. And I'm like, when I put myself in them shoes, I'm like, how? Do you think there is, obviously you have good days and bad days, but is there something that you have to like, do you feel like it's something that every day you have to remind yourself like, right, we got to stay in this lane?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think you're very right there. And I think it's a concerted effort to stay positive. But as well as that, it's finding the silver lining in every sort of dark, ominous cloud. And you know, for example, for us, like when Mum found out it was a grade 3 brain tumour, you know, we were like, well, it's not a grade 4. And you know, we'd focus on that small victory from something so devastating, but that set a precedence for the entirety of her
in a way life. That's quite admirable, because that's not even the glass half full, that's like there's a sip in the glass.
Yeah. But like I think she drove that. Yeah. So like I definitely learned how to be positive and optimistic about everything from her, and she embodied that, you know, at a time when, you know, we can always preach stuff, we can always say, I do this, I do that, I think like this, I think like that, but when, you know, uncertainty takes a hold, and then all of a sudden it's like you know, this is your situation, that's when it's, you know, preaching something's one thing, practicing something is a completely different ball game. And 100%. She did it so well and set the precedence, and then we as a family sort of embodied that as well, and then just this genuine bubble of positivity was just around, like encompassed the whole thing. And you know, it was devastating, like such a tough ride, but there were so many lessons that I've learned because of that like terrible experience, but you know, they're the ones that you sort of learn as you come out the back end of something like that. And I think, you know, I suppose to answer your previous question, like moments which made me think that these things are possible and made me think that I wanted to do this sort of stuff, and it was, I think the biggest lesson there was that actually like anything can happen at any point to absolutely anybody, and if you've got hopes, if you've got dreams, like the only person that you're going to curse at the end of the day if you don't try to put those into fruition is yourself, and you've just got to do it. And even if you fail, like
that's the thing as well, I think. Yeah, exactly. Who does give a shit? You're the only person that does. And I try and say that to people so much that you know, if you quit that job, if you sell that car, if you piss off, that machine keeps spinning. You're in a not a horrible way, but you're not as important as you may think, and that's actually really beautiful because you don't have to take life that seriously. I think when, you know, with my old business and the weight of it, it was so stressful, and I remember for a while being like, I don't want to do this anymore, but being like, no, I'm irreplaceable. I've done this, and then the minute I was like, oh no, I don't need to be here anymore, the cog still spins about me. When I first was in Indonesia, and I was like, well, happy days, like I'm out of the game for however long I needed to, but it's tough trying to. People need to make that decision for themselves. They can't be told it. They have to either learn it or, you know, be shown it, because, you know, it is a daunting thing to kind of everything you've been taught at school and college and uni to go no, forget all that. Do what you want to do. And people are like, what?
I know.
You're supposed to do that. And it's like, no, you just do it.
It's a difficult one to get your head around. I completely agree. And like, I'm by no means like a master at it. I'm not like whiter than white, and I'm not always able to sort of practice what I preach, essentially. But I do make an effort to do it as much as I can, and I do it more than I don't, if that makes sense. So,
but that's just balance, though, isn't it?
I think so.
I'm awful for being hard on myself when I am not practicing what I preach. But then I think, well, hang on. I know that I do it more than enough, and I know I do it more than I did last year. So as long as like I'm kind of bearing my own path of it, and then you're on. No one's 100% perfect. To expect that.
I'm the same though as well. I'm so hard on myself. Like I've got such massive. Do you know what? I realised this last week on the walk when I was walking the Thames. But
let's get into that quick. Sorry, because we don't know what that is. So explain what you did last week.
So basically, I used it. So I basically walked the length of the River Thames. So
where does that start?
So the source of the River Thames starts in a small village called Kimble in Cirencester. And you know, funnily enough, we all know EastEnders, for instance, and you see the Thames that sort of pops up. It's this big grey mass, this big sort of canal that moves through our capital. And in fact, like at the source, it's just a rock and a spring that's under a small wood block.
I saw the water looks surprisingly clean.
I was drinking that water.
The first day, I knew you was. As soon as I saw it, I said to Chloe, I was like, he's drinking that.
It's beautiful, but like you know, absolutely stunning. So it starts in a small village in Kimble, and then from there it then winds its way through some pretty main cities, stretching from the west of the country across to London, and then eventually to sea, Southend. So it passes through. That's where it ends. Yeah. So it passes through cities such as Oxford, Reading, towns like my mind's gone blank now, but Henley, for instance, and sort of other towns like that. And it's absolutely stunning.
So you did this all, so people know, this was all 100% on foot.
Yeah.
And where were you sleeping? Was you camping?
Yeah, so I took a small one-man tent. First night I stayed in a barn. So there was just a sort of derelict barn with some hay bales.
I'm so jealous.
I was actually walking with someone then as well. So her and I stayed up on these hay bales, which was really, really good fun. And then the next night stayed in a tent, a bivvy bag, and then I put something on my Instagram actually saying that I'm going to be in the Richmond area.
I saw it, you got lucky.
And then can anyone put me up? And I got a message come in, and this wonderful family
sort of completely random, or people you know?
So it was a friend of a friend, well, a family of a friend of a friend. If that makes sense. He's good. Do you know what? He's now a good mate of mine.
I'm sure.
He's a good guy. But his family just put me up. Were just incredibly hospitable and kind and lovely, and you know, let me have a bath, let me have some beer, cook some great food, and then sent me on my merry way the next day. But that was really cool. So sleeping, off my own back a lot of the time, but then relying on the kindness of strangers.
Now let's go back to what we said about the fear thing. And it's like, you did that week with no expectation, but when you put yourself in them situations, don't you find that the universe, humanity, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, for some people God, but it always pulls through. Like, you ended up in the situation you needed to be in.
Just
it's beautiful. Like, it's making me smile thinking about it. It's beautiful in a way that everything always does, as long as you not everything, obviously devastating things still happen, but who's to say that we don't know the real cause of them happening? With that right energy, what you need will, it comes through.
I think so. And it's just asking as well. I think there's a certain vulnerability that is required to ask for help and sort of accept help as well at different points. And I think I've probably fallen quite short of that in previous years, where I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing it. I'm not listening to anyone else. Not taking anyone else's advice. I'm going to do this. But in fact, like, if you actually welcome that in, and it's like, can I stay at your house tonight? And on the bike ride, I did this often, which was, my friend and I, George Cullen, who cycled to Japan with, he and I would meet locals in the mountains in Georgia, or the deserts of China, or the mountains of Tajikistan. You'd speak to these people and they would have nothing, but they'd always give you half.
The less people have in material, I swear, the more generous they are.
We
found that massively, didn't we, when we was like certain countries we were in. People would just, it's like the less they had, the bigger the smile. It was nuts.
Dude,
because they had them them things that aren't variable, like the feelings inside of you, like gratitude, happiness. They were full with abundance of them, instead of like, I need to get the upgrade on the car, I need to get this. It's like,
those things are just so insignificant.
They are. Like, they're nice to have, but they're irrelevant.
But I think today, like, I think here we can always, and I do, and I find myself getting to that mental state of mind, I suppose, like when I'm back here, that actually, like, those then become the important things, and you lose sight of what is actually important, like gratitude, contentment, and all this good stuff.
That's hard. Like, it's hard to get out of that sometimes.
It's definitely a bubble that you fall into, and it's only when it's popped and you're with someone else that you realise, like, fuck, that was so
stupid.
We did
it. I think when we got back, and I was like living off savings, comfortable, but didn't have a job, and I was like not really doing fuck all, to be honest. And then I had so much time to look at what everyone else was doing that I was like, I need a new car. I need to. And then I was like, that was a good 6 months until I was like, fucking wake up.
You don't need this shit.
I don't need any of that shit. I sold the car. I said, I don't even have a car now.
But it's actually liberating, I think, when you do take steps in that direction.
Sometimes I just think the less you have, the less you need to worry about.
Dude,
you're right, it is liberating. Like car insurance, cancel that. Not worrying about that.
Don't need it. I sold my car, I whittled everything I owned to 4 boxes. And it's like, I probably wear the same like 7 shirts or so every now and then, but like, so what? Like, who cares? And if you worry about that, that's a bad thing. But then, drawing on what you said earlier as well, like, no one gives a shit as much as you give a shit. So like, you can think, these people are all going to recognise that I'm not wearing the same stuff or not driving this flashy car, whereas people just do not.
And if they
do,
are
so sort of like caught up with them thinking about that shit as well. Like,
they're worrying about their own shit.
Exactly.
But I think if they do care about it for you, they're not really someone you need to be worrying about.
I'd agree there.
If they're like, he's wearing the same shirt, it's like, no one. So what? That's what you gathered from someone. And I think if you can be like 100% comfortable in what you're wearing, your behaviour, everything, and then you meet someone and they like really like you for that, that's so genuine. Like, I haven't bumped into you at the gym and gone, that was a good watch, like, see his car key, like, he's doing well, let's get him in. It was like, no, like, Ben, like, it's like that click of like being, I don't know, it's human, it's just being human, isn't it?
You just
strip
want
all
to
that shit away.
Good old chat, don't you? Like, you don't think about that sort of stuff.
No. Right, so you did your training, obviously, you know, you went through everything with your mum. Where did you, let's just get back to that a little bit. So where did you find yourself, when was there a point where you was like, right, I'm done with this, or, you know, I want to move on and get more into the, you know, exploring? When did you come away? Because I am right, you were a former commander, now you're not part of it.
Yeah.
So is that something that's done, or?
Yeah, it's done. It's put to bed. Sorry for the time being.
So why is there anything that happened to? Was that just a decision you made and said, right, that's the end of that journey? What happened after that?
I think it was just like a natural end to that chapter.
Yeah.
Because I think I almost like, you know, you join the Royal Marines because, you know, you want to join the military, and then it's like, right, you want to join the Royal Marines, and every regiment or part of the military will try and sort of preach that they're the elite, they're the UK's #1 sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly biased and would state that the Marines are probably up there.
Yeah.
But I decided that I wanted to give that a go because the military was a challenge. The Royal Marines was another step in that direction. So I thought I'd just increase the challenge even more, and then push myself and try and go for officer selection, which, you know, fortunately passed that selection, and then passed out of training eventually after that 16 months. And that period there was so, you know, such a learning process, and it was so intense. There was so much to do. Everything was new, you know. You're flying in helicopters, you're going on like incredible, you know, sort of micro expeditions, I suppose, as part of training anyway, because you're living out of this giant monkey on your back. And
is the training, as in, you know, you see these programs, these SAS ones and shit like that.
Yeah.
Is it that nuts? Is it that intense?
Like programs like that will glorify it for the purpose of entertainment, which is completely understandable. But I mean, you still got to be on your grind, right? Oh man,
you can't just go in after you've gone gym for a week and like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you've got to go in. But I think Royal Marines training surpasses the physical. Like you go past the point where things are physical.
Yeah.
So your body is so degraded that it doesn't even matter.
Right, that's so true. It's nowhere near anything you've done. You're probably like, I eat that for breakfast, but like when we were training for the marathon.
Yeah.
There'd be times we'd be running and be like 20k in and be like, this doesn't hurt anymore. My body, I feel, could go forever. But it's up here where I'm like,
battle.
This is fucking boring. Or don't, you know, that foot is hurting, that rub, but it's in your head. Like,
it's all a test of character, in my belief. And I think it comes to the point where, like I said, it sort of passes physical exertion, and then it becomes the mental battle. So like, how much do you really want this thing? How much can you stay focused on the prize at the end? You know, the coveted green beret and commando flashes, and you know, all these things sort of lead you to just stick in there. And
I guess that's a moment at a time, isn't it? That's not like one big thing. That's being mindful right there, like, right.
Yeah.
There's a bigger picture here, but right now.
Yeah.
Do I want to stop or not?
Exactly, yeah. So you've just got to sort of plug away at it. So yeah, I think that was really tough. No, not at all. So I think that was really tough, and basically what I found upon leaving, I passed out, and then naturally as an officer, you pass out as a lieutenant, you then you assume command of 30 blokes basically,
and that are you young for that, surely? Or was that quite normal at the age?
I was quite young. I think I was the fourth youngest in my intake.
Right. But not like crazy young. When I hear like captain and commander, I'm like, that must be something at 30, 35, but obviously it's quite...
I mean, it's different.
It's not a quick process. I don't mean quick and easy, but you can get there fairly...
I mean, yeah. And I'm by no means an exception or like particularly a great sort of leader in the commandos at all. I wouldn't say so myself, but like, you know, you just sort of plug away at it, and you know, eventually these things will come. But I left, like I said, like assumed command of these 30 guys. Had a very, very good first year. Went out to do some desert warfare training out in the Mojave, which was really interesting stuff. Learned a lot there. Did a lot of aviation stuff, so sort of the jumping out of helicopters that you sort of might see, and all that good stuff. And everything was so focused within that year. And then I started then playing sort of Navy rugby, so I got put onto...
Yeah, because you was rugby before, obviously.
I always remember. So I played lots of rugby, and then with that, basically, in order for me to be able to do that, I then went to back to Commando Training Centre as a troop commander, but to train Marines. So I was in charge of recruits going through training, a team of corporals and a sergeant, and we'd basically turn civilian day 1, week 1 passing out to at the end of week 32 to a fully fledged, Royal Marine Commando, right. Which was a very interesting job, but something which I think took a massive dip in sort of the thrill of things. I actually found it quite, there I definitely felt my individuality was being pushed down somewhat. So I started to feel very regimented, which for me, I'm actually quite like a liberal bloke, and a bit.
For someone going into the military, that must be quite challenging.
Yeah. But you do it, you suck it up, and it's fine. It's part of the job, and it's just one of those that you sort of take, and you have to accept that that's the case. Yeah. But I think I got to the end of my tether with it towards the end. So there did come a point where I was like, do you know what? I'm going to punch out. I'm going to do it early. I've got to captain. That's what I wanted to get to. I was 23 years old at the time, and just decided that actually, like, I want that challenge back, but then I also want freedom. And that sort of Venn diagram, if you will, of like everything sort of linking up, the sweet spot. And, I've been interested in explorers for years, and some of my heroes are explorers, like, Sir Ernest Shackleton, or whatnot. Like, people like him have always been very iconic in my life. And it got to a point where I looked at them and thought, do you know what, like, I keep surpassing my own expectations of myself. Yeah. Like, why not now just sort of take a dip into the adventure world and see what I want to do?
I feel like, and that is just the going and doing it thing, really, isn't it?
I think so.
Otherwise, you're like, oh, I'll do that and then push that off.
Yeah.
I pushed off travelling for probably like a good 4 or 5 years, where I was like, I will do that at some point, and then I was like, oh, come on, man, I'm like 24 now, like, it's time, and now we're going to just have to take the plunge and go, enough's enough. And it's so nice just to, when you start a new school and you don't know anyone, and it's like this is that, but it's a really nice feeling, because I feel like that's what keeps you alive. Like, when you get content or life just becomes easy, you're not really living, are you? You're doing the same thing every day, which is great. You can do that for periods of time, but that's probably maybe how you felt a bit with, obviously, the Navy, that eventually it's a bit like, right, I'm good with this now. Like, I've completed it. Not completed it, but you know what I mean?
You've done what you set out
enough
to
for
do.
me, you know. Some people can go a very long time. Like, I look at people that, and they're like, yeah, she worked at the company for 30 years, and I'm like, fuck that. Or people that, like, live in their hometown their whole life, and I'm like, that terrifies me. But just me personally, I get bored very quickly, and obviously you do as well. So.
But I think our contentment levels all differ from person to person. And sometimes I find myself almost envy people that are completely happy with that situation, because I look at it and I'm like, you've got the dream. Like, you've got kids that you love, you've got a job that you love and you're happy to do for the rest of your life, you've got a partner that you love and love spending time with, and they can do these things and live this day to day, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, my contentment levels, like, I'm not as content as you, hence why it's, I'm striving to do these things. But then I think a lack of contentment is a double-edged sword. So I think it can either be a very negative thing.
You might get 20, 30 years down the line, you might go, I didn't hit my potential. But at the same time, you are right. I think that a lot of the time I look at, I will give it to them. A lot of the time I'll look at other people and I'm like, man, they are so happy, and the, not ignorance, just the genuine happiness. I'm like, wow, I feel like I need to chase that a bit more. But that's to do with standards, I think. Like, Chloe often pulls me up on it as well, and she's like, slow down, like, you're doing so much at once.
Oh man,
I don't know how to not.
Like,
and it what I'm trying to get to is, it's a blessing and a curse. It's so bittersweet.
And it's managing that, I think, isn't it?
9 times out of 10 it works out. That 1 times out of 10 I have to go, fuck that one up. Try to do way too much. I'm so bad at admitting it as well.
Oh man, absolutely.
You have to.
I'm of the same. I'm of the same thing there, definitely.
But it's nice, because then I feel like if you can balance that, you do start to tick them things off in your head, and there's there's nothing better than that. But people, and I feel like you're going to massively have this when you do your walk, and this is a huge problem of mine, is I'm always going for that end goal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I get there.
When,
it's like,
you'll be happy there.
The fucking journey's the
yeah,
best
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah.
And I just fuck that up a lot. I forget that. And I guess with your trip, that is just it, isn't it? The whole thing is the journey. You know, I've said this before, like when we've done travelling before, we've gone like, got to the end of it and gone, we just got pissed for 3 months. Like, we didn't do what we wanted to do, and then it's like, it went so quick, and I'm like, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
When we sat there and watched Scooby-Doo on our phone in Cambodia instead of going and watching the sunset, it's like, you know, but there's time in life to go back and do them things.
Yeah,
I feel like every day with something like that is just gonna try to not let it blow all into one and be like, each day is just
yeah.
It's gonna be crazy, really, isn't it? There's probably gonna be life-threatening times. There's gonna be so, I don't know, just put down on it. You already know that it's gonna be.
But I think all you can do in that circumstance is to prepare as best you can.
Yeah.
Get a contingency plan that you're completely happy with. That if shit hits the fan.
Yeah, because we told people, don't worry about fear, jump in.
Yeah.
You still need. Like
I think it's calculated risk.
Yeah.
So there is jumping in, but there's jumping in with your eyes wide open.
Yeah.
I think, and I've not always been great.
Yeah, it doesn't
at
mean
that.
you want to be a singer. Okay, you've never made a song or been to the studio. Great job though.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
So I think there's like, you know, I've definitely done that in the past, and I've sort of jumped into things and I've been like shit, and then it's just a case of like feeling your way through a situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Sorry, because I'm going to call him out, but I feel like my brother is a great example of that. I love him to bits. I envy him a lot, but he's someone that does that as well. I love him. He'll go like, no, I've got that, and then a month later he's like, it's pretty fucking mad. I'm like, well, you know,
exactly.
But you know,
but I think getting that skill right is, you know, a massive part of the battle as well. So I think going in with your eyes wide open, like making sure that you've got a good contingency plan that you're happy with, that in my circumstance that other people know as well. So I've got an expedition support team, which have been briefed up as to what happens.
So who organises all of that? Is that an outside like governing body?
I organise that. Yeah.
So you've sort of got your own contacts.
Yeah. So I pulled together close friends of mine, both military and civilian, whom I trust wholeheartedly that if I hit SOS, these boys have got my back. Yeah. And the reason why I wrote the contingency plan and sorted this out is because if something happens, you know, unforeseen, that's terrible, then I'm going to be in that situation and I know exactly what time these people are getting called, exactly what's going to happen from there, and then, you know, everything else will hopefully, based on the contingency plan, the cogs will start turning. Of course, you don't know what's going to happen.
It's an intense feeling, isn't it? I'm feeling intense thinking about it.
It is,
like, this is going to make a good movie. It's like one day, like...
Yeah.
It's... Even I'm sitting there thinking, wow, like, and you're actually going to take them steps.
Yeah.
Well done, man. I think it's... that's another one of them things where... That's inspiring me to go, I want to... She's like, no, don't. I'm like, I want to go... I want to do a lot, but there was, you know, minor things, but there's like this... cave in Vietnam, and it has its own ecosystem, and it's huge. It has its own beach in there, its own everything, and it's like a 3-4 day mission to get to it. And I'm like, I'll do that one day when I go there. And then when you look at other people and their level, and you're like, just walk in the park, like you have to just go for it. Do you know one of the main people that got me into that, and I'm sure you know him, is you must know David Goggins.
When
I first started running, I was like 10k.
So that's if I know. I don't know Goggins, but I know of Goggins. Yeah.
I was like 10k. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this guy runs 200 miles, 10k, that's garbage.
But his story is just fascinating.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Because only at 24, he made the decision that he was severely overweight at the age of 24.
Yeah, he
then made the decision,
297.
I'm going to join the Navy SEALs.
And there was only two black SEALs at the time.
Yeah.
And they all told him no, and there was one recruiter.
Yeah.
And he lost. He says the first day he went for a run, he did a quarter of a mile, went home, cried, ate ice cream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, if he can overcome that, I was like, fuck 5k, that was my target. And then I was like, I'm doing the marathon.
Yeah.
And within like 5 days, she had never run, she was signed up for it, and everyone was like, oh, here he is, doing that thing where you jump in too quick. But I'm like, there's a beauty about it.
Yeah.
Like, some people get it, some people don't. I don't know. I like obviously you do as well, having stuff like that on your plate, the fear, it's not fear, it's I don't know what it is. It's like I guess it's like really adrenaline. Like when I know I've got all that going, I'm like, I get a bit buzzed about it. I'm like, right, I'm not ready for this. I need to get ready for it. Like,
but that exciting. I think gives you like, I think there's so many different things that can sort of lead you to get to where you want to go. And I think for me, like the main ones that I sort of rely on are holding myself to account, but getting close friends of mine to hold me to account as well. So if I get a big idea, I'll speak to them and say, this is what I'm doing, hold me to account. So my best mate, for instance, Jack Cullen, like he and I, when we were 14 years old, went on a run, and I announced...
I read that this morning. Yeah. Explain that, because that's cool.
So I announced to him then and there that I wanted to be an officer in the Royal Marines by the time, basically in the future at some point. He said that he wanted to be a professional rugby player. So between 14 and this year, once we've just done our 10-year anniversary mud run, we call it. So we just go out, slide in puddles, slide in mud, go run around the fields, just jump in brooks, just get filthy on a run, basically. And it's our opportunity to have
people
conversation.
You should do. People don't act like kids.
Oh, man.
Act like a kid, man.
Yeah.
I still skateboard.
Yeah.
You gotta have that.
Yeah, it's great.
But, so you did your mud run.
So we did that, and then we held each other to account. We both achieved all of those and more.
So he played professional rugby?
So he played pro rugby, yeah.
I remember his name, and I remember it as well. There was a few Stortford boys that we were like, they can play rugby.
There was good players. But he's one of those guys who's got more talent in his little finger than sort of we've all got.
Yeah, Clifton, he's like verified. He's a musician as well, right?
Yeah. So he's now like
he's had a journey
doing that sort of stuff. It's fucking awesome.
There's a lot of talent around here, man, isn't it? Really,
there really is.
When you get into it, like there's a lot of people locally to us that have done. There's that girl who was in your year. Remember
Dodie?
She's famous as fuck.
I know.
She's famous as fuck.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I remember seeing it on Instagram. Like, I know that girl.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's shout out. Come and do a podcast. You help us right out. But there's a lot of talent from around where we are, man. And I don't know whether that's the same everywhere because there's people come from everywhere or it's relative to here. But I feel like something happened in generation wise where like people our age are just. They do go for things a lot more. Yeah. I think it's so admirable.
I think it's the circle that you surround yourself in. It's the people that I think you allow to come into your life. And friends are a wonderful thing because you've got choice. Yeah. Family you don't. Like your family's your family. I love mine, luckily. I absolutely adore mine. But your friends, you have a choice who you let in and let to be impactful in your life and allow you to be impactful in theirs. So the accountability thing, I think, is one of the most important things.
Talk about that a sec. We'll get to what we're saying, but because I find that interesting. So, what do you mean by that? Do you mean when you say you want to do something, he's going to make sure you do it as well?
Yeah.
I
think it's announcing it. Yeah. I find so like
when you've said it, if you don't do it, it's like
there's law of attraction as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think if you announce that, then naturally, I think your brain will see things and do things and seize opportunities to lead towards that big goal that you've set yourself, and you sort of build that pathway towards it.
I find like when you have to do something, like you do it. Like I've been in situations where like when we first started my previous business, and it was like we quit our jobs, we had no money coming in, we'd gone into debt, and it was like, well, we have to get out of this. So we're going to find a way. And I was like, I am going to get someone who believes in this to invest money. Yeah. And it was like 6 weeks later, done. I was like, how the fuck did I do that? Well, I had no choice. And then people, I think, need to realise that can actually be applied to like, I'm overweight, I am going to lose all that weight. When you've said it and there's no choice, everyone knows you're doing that. It's like, you better do it. Yeah. And you will do it. Yeah. But it's easy to not, I know. It is easy to not when you haven't probably got that accountability.
Big time. But I think with stuff like that, and again with accountability, so I think it's, you're setting your intentions. Like all of a sudden you've set your intentions, you're holding yourself to account and somebody else. Yeah. And then there's a quote which I love that gets the ball rolling on every park, and it's the hardest thing is putting your shoes on.
Yeah, it is.
The hardest thing is taking that first step. The hardest thing is, sending that first email to an investor. The hardest things. actually quitting your job or
and
doing
going,
something.
I'm now doing this.
Yeah.
It is, we've had this discussion, haven't we? Like, it's like, just that is the hardest bit, going, right, my brain's in, I've put that in gear, we're doing that.
Yeah. And I think those things are so important in, making an idea into a reality, or like even just giving it a go, because we sadly sort of live in a world where we only ever hear success stories of people, and this doesn't help but pollute this sort of compare and contrast society that we're now living in. But that's the tip of the iceberg, but we don't necessarily hear about the people that gave it a go and failed. But like, that's so okay if you fail.
Of course it is.
And like, for me, I genuinely had this, like, I don't want to say an epiphany, because I don't think it's finite. I think I'm in this like good sort of ebb at the moment and flow and whatever, and it may all change like the wind. But I found months ago, like, I just had this sort of epiphany moment where I was just like, if you want to quit this walk at any point, you can. Like, that's so okay. And my shoulders literally Coke bottle shoulders straight away. I was just like, oh man, not that I will, not that I plan to.
Even
because
if you
I'll
get
plug
halfway
away,
across
like,
Africa, people are going to be like, shit, he got off his ass and went there anyway.
But like, sod the fear of failure. Like, sod that fear. You've got to...
and it is a massive... Everyone struggles with that. Do you think there's a way that... Not that we're trying to give out tips here, but do you think there is a way of getting over that? For me personally, I would say that I have to check myself. I have to sit down and go, right, I'm worried about that not working out. Why? And then I'm quite a... What's the word called? I'm not organised at all. But I will write them down and go, right, I'm a worst case guy. That's what I am.
Okay,
I write down the shittest outcome and go, well, can I get out of that? Yeah, I've got out of worse. Alright, well, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, do you think is there something that you sort of go by, that when you do, what made you drop them shoulders and go, it is okay? Do you think there was something that you did where you realised, or was it came to you?
I think it literally one of those that came to me, because I've been thinking about that for so long, and you build up this fear and you then begin to put pressure on yourself. Whereas when I looked at myself and my situation, like, from an outside perspective, I was just like, what are you doing? Like, the only person like putting pressure on yourself here is you. Yeah. And like I say, I'm not perfect at it every time. At the moment, I've got a good grip on all these anxieties and all these things that could go wrong and stuff, and I'm sort of suppressing them as much as possible and doing quite a good job of it now. But that's not the same always. It's very inconsistent.
Are you a spiritual guy, or I don't feel like you're attached to anything, but is there? I mean, do you dabble in meditations, mindfulness, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But for me, like, meditation is walking.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say that meditation is kind of different to everyone, though.
Yeah.
I started to realise that I used to go, the only time I have no thoughts in my head other than like what I'm doing there is when I'm skateboarding. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. I'm nose manually that ledge. That's all I'm thinking about doing. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's meditating. Yeah. It's not sitting, because if I sit there with my legs crossed like that, I'm going, I had that for dinner last night. And I'm like, no, I can't do that shit.
I'm like, do I look yogi?
Yeah.
Do I look yogi right now? No, I don't.
Yeah, you're right there. That's actually quite cool. So, in a way, the trip itself is its own fuel.
Yeah, I think so.
That's quite mad. I never really put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, even walking last week, I sort of snapped back into this mind state of being present, and the only thing that you then worry about on an expedition is what you're going to eat, where you're going to pick up water, and where you're going to get your head down.
Do you listen to music and stuff like that while you're going? Or
I mean, I do, yeah. But I mix it up. So in the morning, I like to have like a quite long period of silence, just to, enjoy things. And for me, the morning, I'm definitely a lark. Yeah. So for me, the morning is when I'm probably at my happiest. Like once I'm up and at them, and it's sunrise is coming up and the birds are like tweeting and all that. Really, really lovely stuff that we love about getting out into the outdoors, and that's my time to just really appreciate that before the world wakes up, and it's you've got that serenity. That's wonderful, and I like to try
it's beautiful, man.
Enjoy that as much as possible. That's not always the case, but then there'll come a point where I'll like promise myself, right, after lunch you get to listen to this album, and then I'm like, yeah, I get to listen to that album. That's awesome. And then when you do it, you're like so much more appreciative. Because we live in a world where you just like bang on anything you want. You know, like
any the days of like going to get CDs and being now I'm like, oh, his album come out 30 seconds ago.
Exactly, and straight away bang. Whereas like I'm way more grateful if I just sort of treat myself to it, and I'm like, you know, I'll listen to this. Like on the walk, for instance, Stormzy, I've never listened to his music, but I saw his album pop up, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this guy the time of day. Listen to it, mind blown, right? But awesome. And then after lunch, for instance, then I'll give myself a podcast or an audio.
You could learn a language, man. You could actually.
Yeah, I know. But this is again like
it takes away
biting off more than you can chew and trying to do more than one thing. And
he's walked to Africa and he's now fluent in 10 languages.
Well, but then I put pressure on myself as well, because I'd be like, well, you know, I said that I was going to do this, and this, and I don't want to do that.
And that kind of takes away what we were saying about it being meditative.
Yeah.
Becoming mature.
Yeah. Like the walk for itself is
enough.
Is enough for me, and I'm going to write as well, like, you know, quite extensively on this trip. And
I think you're going to be blogging, filming.
Yeah, so I'm going to be blogging a lot.
You have to, really. You've got to, man.
Yeah, I'm a very amateur, very, very, very amateur photographer as well. So like, for me, I love taking photos. So, you know, I'll use this as a massive opportunity to take some wonderful photos to document both my own travels and the way that...
Plus, people are going to want to see it. Like, they really are.
Yeah.
Chloe, what did I said to her, I was like, Ben is about to get extremely popular. I don't think he realises.
I'm not that bothered about that.
You're not bothered about being popular, but it's definitely nice there's a message that you're trying to spread.
Yeah.
And the more people that you reach, the more the message is being spread. To you, I know it's not about, I've got 10,000 followers. It's about, wow, my message is getting reached.
Yeah.
And it will. 100%, man.
Which I suppose, when you frame it like that, that would be
sometimes you have to buy into it, don't you? So.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think I'll document it as much as possible. So you know, I plan to.
But again, that might be another pressure thing. I feel like you just do it when you feel like.
Yeah. But I love writing. Like, absolutely love writing. I'm not particularly good at it, but you don't have to be good at.
When you say writing, do you mean journaling what you're doing, or are you talking like?
Journaling, and then I've you know, I'm going to hold myself to account here as well. But like, I plan to write a book about this.
Said and done. He's going to have a book.
Done. Yeah. It might not be worth reading, but we'll see. I would like to write a book, whether or not it's for my own like personal memoirs, or someone sees it and it's like, you know, I reckon you could sell one or two of these. And then maybe do that. But I think this for me would just be, you know, an opportunity to almost fuel the presence as well, because I've got an objective. So I could tell myself, instead of just remaining present for present's sake, I can remain present to learn and understand and see, to then articulate. So it's like, and the same that I look at photography as well. So like, if I'm walking, for instance, and I'm like, do you know what, I'm going to look for the nicest tree to take a photo of, or the nicest lighting behind a bush to take a photo of. I'm actively looking for that, but I'm not ignoring everything else that's going around. I'm like, wow, that's wonderful, like that's amazing. Like, you're looking for your next bit of content to sort of flow into your writing or taking photos.
I always have this weird concept, and I call it like the unlock theory, and it's like, have you ever found when you talk about something, and then, I'm not talking about on your phone, because that's just because they listen to us, but when you like, oh, I'm looking at that car, or and then it's everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that car
That
before.
used to happen on like GTA all the time.
But why is that real life?
Yeah.
I guess it's probably a bit of that. So right, I'm gonna look for the nicest tree, and then it's like, bang, have a look at that one.
Yeah,
that happens. And that's
on the unlock theory. Do you know what? I really like that.
I can't get my head. It's like you've unlocked it. It's like the minute that, I don't know what it is, man, but when you think about something, you manifest that thought, and it's like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Somehow I feel like we bring it, like every time it happens, especially with cars or clothes, and I like think about something, and then it's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It's like, a weird one happened the other day, wasn't it? Remember I said that I had like a crazy dream about a white horse, and then this white horse just keeps appearing.
I saw it. Was this
morning? Yeah. The other day, it like came to me, and then you were running, and you were like, "Craziest thing happened." This white horse comes to me. I was like, "Oh, I've unlocked it. Too much." I'm like, "We're gonna get attacked by."
Yeah.
Weird, man. I don't know what that is.
I think some things
but it's like
can't be explained, can they?
No, they can't. And I think you're gonna see a lot of that.
I'd hope so. Yeah, I'd hope so. But I think my journey is gonna. I think you can romanticize a journey like the one that I'm about to embark on, and you can say, I get it all the time. People are like, "Oh, it's going to be an amazing experience." Of course, it will be an amazing experience.
But there'll be a lot of probably boring days.
Yeah, there'll be boring days, but there'll be like ups and downs. There'll be like high highs, low lows, and it's quite funny. Someone that I know very close to me said when I was talking about doing this, they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky, like you're not working," and I'm like, this isn't like I don't find this like easy. It's not like
I hate that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've now I sort of get to the point now where I'm just like, I just humour it. Like, what's the? I don't really.
Jokes on you. I'm not working.
I'm like, oh, whatever. But I found that quite funny because I was just like, actually, like it's quite tough.
I'm not sitting on a chair. I'm actually walking Africa.
Yeah.
Has anyone done it before?
So there's been four people that have done it in history, of which I think I'll be the youngest person to have ever done it solo and unsupported. So
that's
it'll be an interesting one. I'm not so much like.
You're not doing it for the clout.
I don't think. No, I'm not doing it for that. It's funny because when I was younger, I would have done this so narcissistically, and like I would have done this.
Look what I'm doing.
Yeah. Look what I'm doing. I'm a legend. Like whatever. Yeah. But then I think over time, my mind state's changed from. Being
it has.
Like,
I remember you as the Joker, weren't you?
Yeah,
you were very funny. Like Ben, he's a joke, man.
Yeah.
He'll do that, or he's doing that.
Yeah.
But. Our school was funny, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't actually have too many memories from it.
I feel like I've cut out a lot of it because, I don't know, sorry if anyone from it listens, but I thought it was very suppressive of who you are as an individual. Maybe that's just school, but I feel like going through school, I know I was loud and annoying and I was a bit of a little shit, but like, I feel when I got out, people started to like really like me and embrace that in me rather than it being like sort it out way doing that. And it's like, you probably got in trouble. We all go through that in school, but I don't know, you're right about the memory thing. I don't know, I feel like it's been far enough away that it's like seems irrelevant. But at the time it's so that's life. Like, and I feel that kind of goes back to our point when we said about the fear of when you leave something that, whether it's quitting a job or whatever it is, you will look back at that and go, wow, that's irrelevant now. And it used to be my world. That was the be or end.
Yeah, and it's tough though, because I look back on stuff like that and I'm like, well, why am I worrying now about this that I know that in the future I'm not going to worry about?
But you're still there.
You still do it, don't you? You still do worry about it. Like,
of course.
But, I don't know. I think it's that sort of stuff you just got to accept, haven't you? But I also think like on the school stuff, like I speak in schools now to about.
Yeah, I saw that. That's sick, man.
Yeah, I like. Do you know what? I like doing that because I think I at school just was incredibly lost. I think just in terms of like what I wanted to do, and I had all these pressures from from teachers like go to university.
Sport, it's pretty very sport career. Right?
Yeah, it was massively. But I found at school like I just wasn't. For me, it wasn't like the conventional education system wasn't something that I think I sort of clicked with. I did the sports side of things. I loved performing and acting when I was at school, and they were my real passions. But I think aside from those, I didn't really want to be there. So for me to go back into school, whenever I do speak at schools, I'll try and speak to younger me sitting there in the audience in the hope that I can give my experience and they might draw some advice based on what I'm saying.
Yeah, when people can relate. And,
I think so. And I think, the young men and women that I do speak to, like they are pretty, they seem to be quite receptive apart from the front row, just sort of getting their heads down at the front. But
some people are not ready though.
Yeah,
they're just not ready to hear it. I would have been at the background making jokes. Being like, look at this guy.
Yeah. But I think when at school, I find it that people can't necessarily you can't fully be yourself because you've got to conform to a certain degree, and you do as kids, don't you? Like we're all conformists at that age because you don't want to be seen as like the odd one out or blah 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 blah.
Yeah, of course.
But then I remember being at school. There was a guy in your year, I can't remember his name, this blew my mind, and I couldn't believe the bravery.
As well.
He came in on non-uniform day, dressed in women.
Wow, I spoke about that kid the other day.
Yeah.
Shout out, what a legend.
Honestly, I saw that and I was like, you fucking hero,
that
dude.
was so before. I'm not saying it's trendy now.
Yeah.
That was so... I don't mean trend as in people. I mean it's
more acceptable.
So it's like
acceptable.
It's gone up.
Yeah.
It's gone up in people going, I can do that now.
Yeah.
But that was before. That was when it was like, and I'm not saying it because I believe them.
Yeah.
That was when people perceived it as like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in RE and him walking in with full face makeup, skirt on, and everyone being like, almost, kids got the mick taken out of them when it was like they were maybe insecure, or it was minor, like, oh, his ears were a bit big.
Yeah.
But when it's like, no, I'm doing that, I don't think anyone was like, well, okay. No one took the piss out.
Yeah.
No, really. How you couldn't? Because he was like, yeah, that's me now.
That's literally, I remember at that day.
Yeah, that was
like, that's the fucking bravest, most courageous thing I've ever seen someone do.
I forgot about that.
And I saw this dude and I was like, you're my fucking hero, man.
Yeah.
Like, you have just nailed that. But, you know, the point I suppose I'm making is like, you have to conform to a certain degree, and then it's only when you leave school that you actually begin to grow
now
as a person,
could do that,
come into like who you are and stuff. And I think I've been able to do that.
Yeah.
I think you've been able to do that since. I think lots of people have, and I think that's just remarkable. I think that's so cool when people
definitely do that happens by getting out of your comfort zone. And there's still people now that I look at and I'm like, don't worry, because you haven't even tapped in. And they're like, oh, I'm and I'm like, you're what? You can see it in people before they see it. It's like, no, you'll get there. Like, it's not a race. Is it? You know, we're definitely fortunate enough that you know, we've all been through some stuff. You've been through some stuff, but you know, when you, like you said, you come out of school, and some people can find their way pretty easy. And you know, I massively appreciate that myself. But then, we look back like, man, that kid was 14 and he'd already figured it.
Boom, like there and then.
Like he could do that now every day. Not then.
Yeah.
I remember, because I think he tried to.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you're sending this school sideways.
Yeah.
Now they can't do that.
No.
There probably is. I reckon
how good is that? How great is that? Like the world we live in now, today. And I think it's only going to get better. Yeah. That people can fully be who they want to be. Whether you want to wear clothes of the opposite sex, or whether you decide you actually, you know.
And we weren't even allowed to wear a cardigan.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I can imagine it upset people like you, the skaters. Like.
Yeah, I was like piercings and that. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted I was not the great in school, but you know, now it's like, I feel like there is a bit more expression. Yeah. You are still confined to the rules of that school, but just the boundaries of. I remember my year.
Yes, I do.
And he like had a tattoo on his hand.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, everyone's got them.
Like,
it's pretty normal.
Yeah. Oh shit, I'm not cool. I've not got.
No, what the fuck, man? No, but you know what I mean. Like, you can get a job. You can get a job, no problem. He does very well for himself, I think. And you know, but back in the day, it was like the world just didn't.
No, it didn't.
That wasn't acceptable. And I almost, when people come up with something that hasn't been done, or they're like, oh, that's not really well accepted yet. To me, that is like more of the reason to do it, because I'm like, oh my god, imagine if you're the first.
Yeah. Pioneering.
Yeah. Because people will catch on to things eventually. It just takes a little time, doesn't it? There's absolutely. Always some people that are like ahead of their time.
Yeah.
He was massively ahead of his.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesus Christ, man, how comfortable do you have to be to do that? I even remember on the uniform day, like, probably bought a whole new outfit every uniform day.
Yeah, people used to do that.
Yeah, like go JD, get the Crepini pink polo and like all of it. Yeah,
you look like now, don't you? And you're like, that's
what a little prick.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah.
Like, it all changes, isn't it? I suppose, and I think, we all, like you say, we're all on different journeys to find out what, when our dreams sort of align with purpose and.
I feel we was lucky though. I feel we was lucky with our school, in the sense that. The pupils It was pretty good school, wasn't it, really, man?
Yeah,
Most people got on,
yeah,
like, your brother's year,
yeah,
to my year, your year, even the year below you, man. It was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot of bullying or hate or, like,
no,
fights.
I think
there was rarely fights in our school.
Mm.
I think we were quite lucky.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I hear, like, some people that have been, like, Chloe's school and stuff like that, some of the schools around in other towns was like, fucking no, that sounds gnarly. Like, we didn't really have any of that. But yeah, moving on, I wanted to ask you as well, your cycle, what's the standout, like, I want to know the standout that was amazing and the standout, like, what was the craziest thing that happened, and maybe the worst thing that happened to you, and what you feel like maybe you learned or how you got through that.
Yeah. So I think let's start with best moment maybe. Like, so when we were cycling, I was cycling in a country called Tajikistan. So it borders Afghanistan to the south. So that's basically dissected by a river called the Plunge River.
Right.
And over 90% of Tajikistan is mountains, basically. So
90%?
Yeah.
How big are we talking? Small country or?
It's quite a small country. Yeah. One of the smaller stands.
Okay.
But it's got, its fair share of 7,000 metre plus peaks. It's this stunning place.
Yeah.
It has the Pamir mountain range, basically, which stretches all the way down and then even further east. So it's just an incredible country, and we were fortunate enough that we were cycling across the Pamirs, and we decided that we wanted to take the most wild route across this mountain region. So there's 3 different routes that you can take from A to B. You've got 2 which are, I say, roads, like sort of gravel dirt tracks, if you will, not particularly comfortable to cycle on. And then you've got 1 which is sort of infamous in the bike touring world, and it's called the Bartang Valley. So essentially the Bartang Valley is this very, very gradual climb from 2,000 metres up, which you're already on because you've cycled up to the Pamirs. And then it starts there, and then over the course of sort of 3 days or so, you'll find yourself climbing up to a 4,000 metre valley called the Bartang. So up here at the Bartang, you've got wolves, snow leopards, you've got all sorts of stuff.
Well, they can come out at you at any point.
I mean, yeah. We saw wolves, didn't see snow leopards. Can't really claim that, but you hear from locals, there may be leopards in the area or whatever.
Did that not scare you, or?
No, not really. I think it's quite exciting as well, actually.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's weird about animals. I feel like they reciprocate. They like know when you're on edge.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. And I think if you chill, like, I'm not saying that, I'm gonna sort of tame a lion or whatever. Like, again, calculated risk, and you don't want to get yourself in too much of a pickle. But pretty cool to know that they're up there. But so this area is shared by those sorts of animals. You've got very nomadic tribes who live up there and sort of move around, and we're fortunate to spend some time with them as well when we're up there. But I suppose like the standout part of the trip was probably that week when we were cycling there, because I had my map, I had my compass, put my phone away, just sort of navigated in between from water feature to water feature. We took all our own food, so we're pretty self-sufficient up there. And we basically climbed, and then you reach this absolutely like pristine valley, which is a plateau. So it's, as you climb up, it's essentially this real plateau at 4,000 meters altitude. Either side of you've got 7,000 meter peaks, and this stretches all the way across for probably 20 kilometers. Now, you hear the word silence, and I think it's very hard for us to hear in this modern day actual silence. And
there's always a background. Right?
I sort of thought I'd heard it before, but then standing up there, and I was a bit ahead of George, the guy that I was cycling with, and Sonny, this other guy that I was cycling with as well, who we met on the road. But I was basically first up there, and I stood up, and it was just like you could hear a pin drop, and it was this beautiful valley. And I think that one specific moment of when I got up there and had the like absolute honour of looking down this valley and then looking to the left, and it was almost like this. It stood as a metaphor for everything that I've ever been through was on my left hand side, and everything that I'm ever gonna come to is on my right hand side. And I sort of stood there, and I was so overwhelmed in that moment, like I just burst into tears. So it was just, but like absolute joy. Like I couldn't believe it. Like, I was so happy to be up there, and I think Yeah, I mean the whole trip was just an epic experience, but that one specific moment just blew my mind. So yeah, I'd say that's the best bit. Like absolutely phenomenal. Worst bit, I'll be honest, like there weren't too many bad
really feel
bits.
Like you got in a pickle at any point.
Not really. Like Western China is quite a difficult place to operate in. So you've got the Xinjiang province, which as we've seen in the sort of recent years in the media, it's got some negative press for their re-education camps that they've got there, which basically you've got a local population called the Uyghurs. Now the Uyghurs sort of belong to, they're quite a Central Asian sort of culture and religion and whatnot, and then you've got the Han Chinese, which make up the vast majority of China as a country. Now there's this huge dispute over land, territories, cultures and whatnot there, which has caused friction over years to lead China as a government to re-educate these people that are there. And so we were there, we were in Xinjiang province, sort of cutting around, and that was a very tricky part because we were suspected as being spies.
Really?
Yeah. So we were being tailed by the police all the time, every day. You've got a car tailing you. Like we weren't allowed to. We were wild camping essentially. So in order to camp safely and away from the watchful eye of the police, we'd have to sleep under the road in this like flood irrigation tunnels, which are just full of human shit and all sorts. Which in hindsight, it being looking through with rose tinted glasses, but pretty cool sort of experience really when you look back. But then when you're sleeping next to a turd, like it's not as exciting. So it's definitely like type 2 sort of fun. But that was probably quite a tricky part, just given the fact that huge language barrier. You're in the Taklamakan Desert, which is one of the most arid deserts in the world, and we're cycling through here. It's boiling hot.
Where are you getting food? Where are you?
So we'd actually stop at the roads. So like it's saving grace in Western China is the fact that the roads are pretty good. So China's trade routes basically are just shit hot. So they've got hundreds of thousands of trucks moving through this country every day, shipping stuff from A to B. And in order to support that, they've got some pretty bomb-proof roads. And then with roads come service stations, tea houses.
Was there ever points where you were just like, I'm sick of maybe eating food on the go, or was there times where you were getting like nice home cooked meals?
Oh man, the food was great. China, honestly, the food in China, spectacular. Like completely different to what we'd go to Chinese here, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, I can have sweet
or the
chicken.
Fucking media, man. It's like the paints that they just eat shit off the floor.
It's just not true. Like they, the food there was delicious. So that again was another saving grace. Those are the roads. So that was a really sort of tough experience because we were cycling through that desert for about a month. So every day you sort of got to plug away at that. The people didn't, they were interested in you, but almost like a monkey in a cage, as opposed to them wanting to integrate. And that's because of the language barrier. Culturally as well, they're not particularly.
It would be like a monk being outside this window right now. Though. You'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. So it's just a bit. We were just a bit different, I suppose. And the government, they were following us. They were, we had our phones taken and bugged at the start as we crossed over on the border. Like intense questioning. Like, what were you doing? We'd come out of the field having cycled, and then all of a sudden you've got someone standing there who's holding a phone to my ear, and they're like, speak to this man. I'm like, hello. They're like, are you still with the blonde guy? Like, where are you heading? Where did you stay last night? Where are you going to stay tomorrow? Bang, 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 bang. So it was a constant battle for us to get from A to B against all odds. It was like everything just didn't want us to get there. So it took a lot of our sort of wit, like all that sort of stuff to actually make it through there in the end. And once we did cross through into the next province, the Gansu province, once we were there, we were just like absolutely, elated. So we were super happy.
Wow. How long did that take? How long was the whole trip?
So the whole trip took 6 months and a day.
6 months. That's shorter than I would have. It's not short though, is it? Really?
I mean, we moved a lot. We didn't have too much downtime. We had pretty big days. The trip was sponsored as well. So basically, in order to stay true to our word, when we were securing the sponsorship, we had to get to the Rugby World Cup in Japan, on a certain day, basically. So that time pressure, again, double-edged sword. It made sure that we got there and moved through, but then it also sort of, put time pressure on it to the point where you'd sit there, you'd have a day off, you'd feel guilty, you'd have to make up for it then a few for a few days and like, make up that distance. So in order to not experience that same amount of pressure, my Africa trip, Vagabonding Africa, there is no time limit. So I say it's going to take anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 years. I don't care how long it takes. Like, I want complete freedom to walk down, and the only things that will dictate how long I spend in each country or how long it takes is visas and, you know, all this sort of stuff.
Are you going to train while you're going?
Train as in?
Like, body-wise, upper body, things like that. Are you not really that bothered about keeping that? Because
I mean, walking, you absolutely, you know, it is such good exercise.
Do you think it's still gonna, like, you think you're still,
I mean, probably not. I'll probably waste away up top, but like,
I think you're not bothered to do anything.
No,
like
it doesn't
that.
bother me. I think like, you know, there was a point where I was sort of more driven by aesthetics when I was like training and stuff, and like, you know, you want to look good, you want to like do all this sort of stuff, but now I just don't really give a shit about that sort of stuff. As long as I'm fit, healthy, I like beer, I like good food, you know, so all this sort of stuff. But as long as I'm fit and healthy, I'm not really that bothered. So if I'm walking big days, you know, chances are I probably will, like, now and again just want to do that because it's a bit different, and it just mix it up a bit. And I actually really enjoy the whole process of, you know, you've seen me in the gym, I just do.
Yeah, you're very body weight, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which I like that shit.
Yeah.
I think that's I'm not really impressed with people that can. I'm not saying I'm not impressed, but you can squat, deadlift, bench, cool. But training differently, you're right. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but I like to train with a purpose as well. So like, the fact that I was walking, I followed a program which was, you know, entirely strength based, like legs based. So I wanted to like decrease my recovery time. So I'd train legs 5 to 6 days a week, have 1 day off, and then just slowly build that up basically. So it was all in mind with a purpose. So to get fit for walking. Now I find if I go to the gym and I'm like, what am I going to do today? And then I just do like something that's just so out of line with what I'm actually training to do.
Yeah,
it just doesn't quite work.
It's so easy to do that.
Yeah, but it's like in the Marines, for instance, like compound moves. So like I deadlift, squat. I'd do a lot of circuit training, a lot of sort of CrossFit-y stuff, because you need to be battle fit. You need to be like,
CrossFit
fit to fight. You need to be.
CrossFit is bad press. I don't know why. It's fucking hard.
Oh man, it gets you like
all that muscle ups and stuff like that. You need to be on your game.
Oh man, big time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I would train too much on the trip aside from just walking a lot.
It would be very hard to be unfit.
Anyway, I think
really.
so.
If anything, you're probably going to be piling in your food,
which is the best.
Which is
thing.
sick. I was just thinking that.
You eat what you want. Yeah, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, shit. What would it be? You're going to be into the 5,000-6,000 calories burning a day.
Yeah,
surely.
Probably more.
Yeah. Depending how long do you reckon you can be on your feet every day?
I reckon, you know, I'd hope to walk anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, God. Man.
So I think you do just churn through the calories. So now it's like mission get fat before I go. So I'm just eating lots of food, like just piling it in. I'm not scared of drinking beer. I don't feel bad in the morning because I'm just
of course not, man.
Because I'm so fit. I'm like,
it's not really. It's almost become the storing it as a purpose. You're actually using it for its right utensil this time. Overeating for. That is a fine example of it being stored. That you're going to be unloading that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is fine. Like that's so fine. And you know, I've got to tell myself that often because I'm like, no, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. And then I'm like, dude, you're gonna be like.
I'm the worst at that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you put things in with bad energy, it changes what it actually does. Maybe maybe that's me being a bit witchy, but I feel like my brother eats shit. He eats so trash, but he doesn't see it that way. He looks at it as in it's like
fuel.
Yeah, like I'm like, you're eating 10 Subway cookies, and he's like, yeah, like these are sick, like I need them. And I'm like, well, it's in line because when I look at his physique, I'm like, fucking hell, man, I can't question it.
Yeah. Proves the.
Whereas I'll like go 200 calories over, and I'm like, oh, you fat piece of shit.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. I've never worried too much about that sort of stuff.
I haven't. No, I have, but I mean, I'm more not worrying in the sense of like, it's a personal thing. I have like an idea. It's the expectation thing again, man.
Yeah.
I like have an expectation of myself here being like an actual real life Greek god. I'm like, I am Hercules. Man. I'm like, whenever I'm like, he wouldn't do that. What the fuck, man? Stop eating. Yeah. Like we do things like we buy them fiber 90 bars. They're like 90 calories. She likes to snack on them with like these little bars to have. And I'm like, oh yeah, 90 calories, yeah, I'll eat the whole box. And then I'm like, oh, I've eaten 10 of them, then I'm not 90 calories anymore.
Oh man, I'm the worst for that. Absolute worst.
Multi-pack, that's one sitting in my life, it really is. The charity that you're doing it for.
Yes.
Why that one? What is that? This isn't even us trying to plug it. I'm just genuinely curious. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose that one? And what is it all about, really? Because obviously, what we're doing with Blossm is, it's all about helping people with their health and well-being. And charity is all about that. So I'm just wondering where that sits with you and what you're doing.
So I think as a start, like everything that I will do for the foreseeable future will benefit a charity in some way, and that's dependent on what I think is important in that current state. At that current time.
So is there a donation for this walk?
Yeah. So it can all be found on my Instagram website.
Cool.
All that sort of stuff.
What is your Instagram, just so people know?
So it's adventure_cookie.
Cool.
And then my website as well is adventurecookie.co.uk.
Cool. So that's where I leave links and everything anyway. But
cool. That sounds great. So basically, we did Movember because we felt like there was a huge, as well as us having moustaches at the time, just thinking we were like legends, but like as well as that, like we decided that actually like they're making a massive impact in alleviating mental health issues in the male community. So we were hugely passionate about that, and we found that like really sort of important at that moment in time. So we sort of did the bike ride for that. Now with this, I sort of come back and actually like being in nature and seeing it, I've figured I will want to do something. I want to do my part in trying to protect it and trying to sort of protect our planet essentially. And the only way that I really know how is by undertaking like a big challenge of some sort. So I figured this is what I want to do it for. So then it came to the point where I was just researching different charities and which reforestation charity or climate change charity I wanted to begin raising money for. And after doing some research and speaking to people and getting people's opinions, because I wanted to make sure that I chose the best charity.
There's going to be a vast amount.
And there's so many people doing amazing things, but it's just dependent on what they do. And I think what drew me to One Tree Planted was the fact that they are so incredibly transparent about everything that they do. So it's an American NGO, but if you donate $1, that dollar plants a tree. So they will basically show you, from going on their website, from them posting and whatnot, they'll show you the entire breakdown of that dollar. So from where it comes in, then where it goes. And I just love that transparency.
Yeah, because I guess we all get stopped a lot in like town centres by charities, and I'm like, give me a day and I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll show up.
Yeah.
But sometimes I struggle with like, where is that going?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm very much the same.
And I know this is probably personal to you and a lot of people, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to anyway. But sometimes with ones that are like relative to cancer research and stuff like that, I feel like the support that they do, perfect, and the assistance they do. But when it comes to like, a lot of the time it's based around like the cure and this and stuff like that, and I'm like, I feel like there hasn't been much progression in that a lot of the time. So it does not that I'm reluctant. That's when I say, if they do things where we can actually go as a person, I would happily get my time to support people going through that, definitely. But parting with money isn't something people are easy to do.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a tricky one to try and get people to do that as well.
Definitely.
Especially as a fundraiser, that's quite a tough thing.
It is hard. Like even with the marathon, like a lot of people were sharing it, and I'm like, cool. But you can't push people what they're doing.
No, absolutely, and like I think people will, and it just depends on like what extent. So I find if I do something, if you're doing something and then in the moment where it's nails and it's fucking hard, you ask people to donate, people are more likely to do it because they see that you're like, you're putting your blood, sweat, like, and tears into wanting to raise some money for whichever charity or cause you've chosen. So it's definitely a tough one to do. But
is there a target?
So I've set my target to £12,000. So the idea is that because it's an American NGO, but let's say let's sort of say that the dollar's the pound. So a pound plants a tree, and I'm walking 12,000 kilometres. So for each kilometre I walk, I'd like to plant trees. So 12,000 trees.
That must be cool at the end of it to go, wow, Cook, I have planted 12,000 trees.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Sick, but it won't necessarily be me doing that.
Of course, you're bringing in everyone.
Yeah,
like,
and how awesome is that as a concept, that people don't necessarily donate 20 quid.
Yeah.
You can if you want. But like, you can, donating 20 quid, but it's like, I've just planted like 20 trees in Africa. But as well as that, like the charity doing, even more incredible work. So the planters are actually local people that live in these villages and these towns in the areas that they're planting trees. So as well as that, they're doing their bit to try and eradicate poverty in these areas, which is just so awesome. And then what's more is they're educating those local people to say, like, this is important because of X, Y, and Z, because they might not necessarily know that, because they might not be so in touch with the Western media that sort of we're exposed to every day. But so they're doing some like pretty awesome things. So I think it was a combination of reasons that led me to want to raise money for them, and then now I'm working with them in order to maximise fundraising. Like, they're just such an awesome bunch of people to talk really to, man. Yeah.
As well.
Big time. Like,
how are you
so
out
cool.
of interest in, like, you don't have to answer anyway, but your everyday needs? So have you like set yourself a budget and you're like, right, that's my daily amount of money that I'm gonna live off? Is that how you're doing it?
I think so. Yeah. So I probably aim off living, just shy of £5 a day, maybe. It's like £4 a day. Because I'm doing it. I've got a tent on my back, so that's accommodation squared away in most of the places. So I've got that, water, and then it will just be like pretty, bread and jam or some beans or whatever. So I've got my stove, so I can cook myself and sort of buy bits of food to cook up or eat.
Yeah, I guess you're in a position where it's like, it'd be nice to have a lot of things packed.
But
you also want to be travelling light.
Yeah, exactly.
As light as possible.
Refining my kit list, my kit and equipment has been, a very big endeavour in itself. And I've worked very closely with a guy called Mike Gormley, who works for, he basically tests kit essentially. So he and I are going to be working together to write some articles for, and different bits and bobs for these companies that have provided me with kit.
So I guess you've had some sponsors.
Yeah, so I've got a fair few sponsors for different bits and bobs. Which the kit that they've provided, I will add now that like I genuinely don't think an adventure should be dictated by the kit and equipment you've got. I've been super fortunate to be able to work with these guys and them to donate the kit to me, and without them I wouldn't be able to afford or get this sort of kit and equipment. So I'm very fortunate in that sense, and sort of genuinely believe that you don't need a great deal of stuff to go out and about. But yeah, I've got some pretty killer kit and equipment to take out. Nice. So one of my sponsors, Tex Energy, for instance, they've given me a solar panel which sort of straps to my back, and it's like super lightweight, super powerful.
A solar panel?
Yeah. So that'll like charge up my battery pack, and then in the evening I'll like charge up all the shit that I need for the day, which won't be a lot, but then it's having like the right bag, it's having the right boots, it's having the right kit and equipment, that everything's got to have multi-purpose.
Yeah, but when it becomes life, I mean, God, even when we were backpacking, it'd be like 5 minutes out the cabin, I'd be like, fuck this bag, I hate this bag.
Yeah. Because like you've essentially got your house on your back.
Yeah.
But then it's like minimalistic. It's like, right, what do I need? So to go back to the Thames Walk, for instance, this was an opportunity for me to recce. So this was like, I constantly had my phone out or a notepad, and I'd be like, right, okay, that doesn't feel quite good. I need to get something stitched here. I need to get a pocket added on here because that's when I put this shit, or this, that, and the other. I want to get rid of this, get that, need this, don't need that. Like, that was a constant recce for my kit, basically, as well as a beat up for my body as well, and my brain switched that into gear. So I mean, I've got some good stuff to take, and the kit list has been refined from like this to this, but I'm really happy with everything that I've got. And the sponsors and the kit that they're producing, it's all going to be on my website, so if people are interested to see what I take it, there's a kit list and stuff, and I'm pretty proud to be wearing this guy's clobber, which is cool. So
how do you feel about being away from people, your loved ones, for that long? It's a long time, isn't it? Your brother and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That must be pretty...
Yeah, it's tough. But, like, you've just got to do your shit.
Yeah.
Like, me going away, I'm not running away from a tough situation. Like, in actuality, I'm in such a fortunate position where I am now. And I'm surrounded by friends and family who, like, I fucking love so much. But Like I think they understand now, and I think it's taken time for certain people in my life to understand, but like I've got this like real urge to do it or to try it, and I've got to do it, and they do understand it, and I'm gonna find it tough stepping away from them, but like what's more is that, you know, what is a year and a half or 2 years in the grand scheme of things? Like that's
of course it's very minor. Plus it's like it's so nice to miss people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly like you know.
That would be a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
When you touch back.
Absolutely, and like that positivity of like looking at that, like, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have people to miss.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily unfortunate to be going away for so long away from people. It's like I get to build up, you know, these like wonderful people get to support me in something which is a huge endeavour for me. And what's more is that I'm going away to do my shit, and now they get it. Like you know, they're fully on board with it. So my family are like super supportive of everything I'm doing. It's taken them time to adjust. You know, firstly they've got 14-year-old who's standing there saying, I want to be an officer in the Royal Marines, and then I'm going to go cycle across halfway around the world, and then I'm going to go and walk the length of Africa. You know, the first time they're like, oh my fucking god.
At this point,
oh my god. Then they're like, okay then.
At this point, they must be like, fucking proofs and pudding.
Yeah.
Like you've kind of ticked off these things.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes it a bit easier. Like if tomorrow I was like, I'm walking Africa, everyone would be like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You
but
know?
how good is? I love that feeling. The naysayers.
I
love naysayers.
When someone says I can't do something, I'm I'm gonna do it twice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had it on the walk, like Meg, who I was walking with. So
is this the one the last week?
Yeah. The Thames walk. So got to the end of the first day, we covered 60 kilometres, so that's like 43 miles.
Yeah.
And we got to the end of that day, basically, went into this pub, and there's, you know, a few local guys in Gloucester, and they're like, you're right, you're not from around these parts. And we walk in, and there's like 4 guys all drunk as hell, and they basically say like, where are you going, where have you been? And we're like, oh, we're going to get to this village here. And they're like, no, you won't. And I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I think, well, do you know what, I think we will. They're like, no, you won't, like, you wouldn't dare do that, like, blah, 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 like, absolutely going at it. And I stood there and just thought, oh, like, I love it, like, I absolutely
you almost like, I need your number to text you.
Absolutely, because you're just like, watch me. Like, you know, that's not the whole reason why you do something, but like, that's just that 5% motivation
it's another,
get you over the line.
It's another tool to have in your pocket. I'm massive on that, man. I really love being told.
God, naysayers, love them.
It's a weird feeling.
Hate them but love them.
Some people, not everyone gets that buzz. Some people maybe get offended or stuff. For me, I'm like, please throw more at me.
Yeah. Watch, absolutely watch this, because
why no?
I don't know. I think it's like
the distance.
The distance.
Like, were they saying you're not going to bring
that
distance in that amount of time?
Weather, distance, time of day. You know, because we were going to get there for midnight, and like the conditions and stuff like that. But it's just, you know, it's hilarious. And what was quite funny is that I was actually wearing a jumper that says Royal Marines Commando on the back, and then when I turned my back to go in my bag, I'm like, oh, he's a Marine, we'll fucking walk to London, like. Change your tune straight away, and you're just like, boys, like just back anyone, like back everyone. Someone's
you haven't got to be a Marine to want to.
No, not at all.
You weren't always a Marine.
No. The girl that I was working with doesn't walk a lot. She runs a lot, runs marathons, but she just absolutely cracked it.
Sick.
Which was sick, like, you know, very impressive. But like her, these guys, you know, anyone can do anything if they really put their mind to it and they want to do it.
Yeah, we need more. Like when it comes to like people's health and well-being and stuff like that, you know, I feel like there's an element of something that you can't get from everyday life, from that feeling of like when you set your mind to something, you can do it, or you're en route to do it. Like that is a feeling that is hard to reciprocate, and you know, people need more. They definitely need more. You need to be surrounded by people that say like, fuck it, like you've got that. Yeah. You know, you've always supported my decisions, and a lot of people in my life have always supported my decisions, and you know, sometimes I feel like it wouldn't be possible without them, but it helps massively. Like being surrounded, like you said, you can choose your mates, like being surrounded by people that are gonna pull you up rather than. And a lot of people don't realise they do it, but sometimes, you know, people suppress you or push you down.
Yeah.
You know, is that
unintentionally.
Right? Yeah. It's not a horrible thing.
No,
but,
not at all.
You know, you don't have to let that in.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people sometimes take what other people tell them to heart too much, and it's like, well, hang on. You can have whatever reality you want. I'm a massive believer in that. Don't let someone else's perception of the world define what you can achieve. Like, you know, there's probably people that have listened to what you're doing that are like, fuck, is he doing that?
Yeah.
So I know, but I look at it and I'm like, yeah, he's got that 100%.
Yeah.
So
there's a quote, I'm about to butcher it massively, but like I read this fairly recently, and it's by the woman who was the first person to fly solo, I think, around the world. Yeah. I can't remember her name, but she basically said, like, you know, to paraphrase massively, but she almost said, never tell someone that they can't if you're not willing to like try it yourself. Yeah. Like almost like mind your own fucking business. Like if you're not going to give it a go and you don't have to go now
don't tell someone they
to
can't
give it a crack. Yeah. Do not tell anyone to, you know, that they can't do it. Yeah. Like these blokes, for instance, that were sitting in this pub, like, you know, big drunk blokes, and you're just like,
oh yeah, you might be able to. Yeah.
But like, you know, not everyone's the same. Yeah. And like, you know, naysayers love it. I think naysayers feed off it sometimes. Yeah, because when they do it intentionally, like
it does drop other people's like to go. Well, I can't do that. So if I say everyone else can't, I'm comfortable with the level I'm at. Yeah. You know, I've always said I like being the. You've obviously heard the analogy of if you run 100 metre and you're the fastest, you win the race. Yeah. But if you run it with 10 people faster than you, you're going to lose, but your time's going to be better. Yeah. So I'd always rather rock with people that you're the lowest in, rather than setting that cap at like, well, that's my cap, so that's everyone else's cap.
People just drive you to do better, and that is the importance, I think, in, you know, choosing your friends so wisely. Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Like I'm having lots of conversations with my friends at the moment, and you know, different people in my life, and it's all about, you know, these conversations almost boil down to like, as they're getting older and I'm getting older, my friendship group is just slimming, and it's not by like I'm making a conscious decision to like cut people out of my life, not whatsoever, but like the people that, you know, I call them lifers. So like the people that are lifers in my, you know, in my life, my journey, they are just absolutely like incredible, and like they're there for the journey, they're there for the ride, but not only that, I'm there for their ride, and they're just super positive people.
Well, we had a little hiccup there, but we're back to it. So we were talking about you know, choosing people around you, and like you said, your lifers. I think that's wicked, because you are saying about how the people who are in yours, and if people don't have them now, the great thing is, like you say, you can choose them, and eventually, if they're not there now, they will make their appearance.
Oh, they'll be there.
There's no time frame. You just because you got yours at 20 or someone got theirs at whatever time, you know, it's all relative to
big time.
Your time. Like, well, look, it's been a wicked chat. So you can follow Ben. It's on Instagram. It's adventure_cookie.
Correct.
Keep up to date with everything he's doing. He's doing it for a great cause. Make sure you donate. We'll have all the links and everything below. And it's been a pleasure, mate.
Sweet. Thanks very much for having me, guys.